Welcome back to the channel, Jen's channel.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, I'm making my debut on the channel. So it's going to be a informative, educational channel, correct?
Yeah,
right?
With a little bit of fun.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have other videos, maybe on site, on scene. But today we're just gonna do basics, okay? How-tos.
Okay.
How-tos. And we're gonna do it in two sections, okay? So let's pretend somebody's 27 years old. Okay. They've got a job. They've been working at it for, a couple years. They're maybe still living with the parents, but it's time, right? They're hearing from us and they're hearing from the public. Great time to buy, great time to buy. They've never bought before. Maybe their parents have been in their house for 35 years and they really don't know what's going on. What does that person do first?
First off, what an exciting time.
Absolutely.
I would say that the first step they would do is going through getting their mortgage pre-qualification. So either through their parents' bank or whoever they know in the finance world, and going through that. And what you're going to need there is proof of employment, your T4s. You will need, they're going to do your credit check, some banking history, and go through that process. And hopefully your parents and or friends have purchased or know of a realtor and get connected with that realtor around that same time.
So are they going to the bank or a lender before they're talking to us?
I think it just depends on what spurts, I always think that it's great to know your numbers. Just if I was looking, I would want to know what numbers I was working with. Personal opinion, so that varies. Sometimes people come and see us first and we get them connected with the lender, and or vice versa.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so they've been to a lender. The lender says, great, your credit looks good. You can afford $500,000, and we're in Woodstock, Oxford County. So Ingersoll, Woodstock, surrounding.
Yes.
They've called the Jennifer Gale Real Estate Team.
Yes.
And they talked to one of us. Mm-hmm. What are we then telling them? Well, what are we asking them or telling them?
Our first step is we would ask them some questions just about who they are, what they're looking for, what their motivations are. But really, we want to set up that face-to-face meeting so we can sit down confidentially, talk about numbers, what that process looks like, get an idea for what the person is looking for, things that are very important, things maybe we can pull out that they don't know are very important. As first-time home buyers, we don't always know exactly what we're looking for. So that's where a realtor really comes into play, is to help guide those decisions. And from there, the buyer would want to, if they've already been to the bank, we would want to talk about numbers, what they have for a down payment, because that also affects what you're going to buy. But I think most importantly, what people skip is, what is your comfortable monthly payment? Where do you want to land on a monthly payment? I think the bigger numbers and interest rates are so daunting for people.
Yeah, I've bought many cars where it's kind of all I care about.
I just want to know,
can I roll that monthly payment and be comfortable doing it?
What is my monthly payment going to be?
Now, if this boy or girl couple, whoever's coming in, we have a face-to-face with them. I know that we hear a lot of things on TV about, or even on the internet, what about, what you need coming in. Do we need to see anything from these people coming into that face-to-face meeting before we've even shown a house as to what has happened at the bank? Do we care?
I'd say no. I want to sit down with a buyer and build that rapport. I want to know what's important, and then we can cross those steps as we go. So bring yourself. What people don't realize too, that as a buyer, you don't have to pay a realtor. So that's a great big thing that nobody talks about. So I think just coming and being pretty candid and making sure that that relationship, you're going to drive with each other and that you feel comfortable moving forward.
Okay, so we're at the office or wherever, Tim Hortons. We've had this meeting. We're asking them, what do you want? we assume they can afford what they've told us.
Yep.
We're in Woodstock. Let's say we get a little bit into the market here. So let's say somebody said, I can afford $500,000 comfortably. That's where their comfort zone is with the monthly payment. We've got that all figured out. What kind of house in Oxford County generally are they going to get or be looking at 500?
Well, right now, the options have opened up so much because our market has softened a bit. So we would have to determine if they want a condo, because there's going to be some condos in that. So whether or not they want maintenance, if you don't, if you're willing to pay a condo fee. So that would be a question we would ask. You would be looking at semi-detached, which I think as a first-time home buyer has a lot of bang for your buck. And
Yeah.
I think that those typically go up faster in price when prices escalate. Semis, just as my personal point of view. But right now you can get a nice little detached home, 2 to 3 bedrooms, maybe a little wartime home, brick bungalows right now you can get for 500,000. Also a great buy. A brick bungalow is always the best buy.
Yeah, Woodstock's filled with them.
So it's going to depend. You might get a smaller house, but it has a garage. You might get something with a little bit more wear and tear, but it has the bigger yard. So I think it really comes down to what are those important pieces to you. But the options today are so vast.
So if somebody asked you as a first-time home buyer, Jen, what do you think about me getting a condo versus a freehold? What do you tend to, because I know what I lean to. What do you lean to?
Well, I want to future pace that. So if the person's not married, it's their first time in a home, a condo. I personally think a condo is a nice buy because I'm always future pacing, looking down the road as an investment, which scares people when they talk to me.
And I'm like, you can cut your own lawn, you can shovel your own snow. You're 27, you're 28, get the work done. But
I honestly, I think the best approach is to look at everything that's available on the price point, because I feel like as first-time home buyers or even second or third-time home buyers, once you're out looking at property, you really know it when you're in it. So somebody that said they didn't want a condo, you go into a place that's completely turnkey, beautiful, has everything, might make your heart race fast. So I say that you should look at as many properties and start weeding it out as you go.
Okay, so then that's the next step, right?
Yeah.
We've talked to the person. They've said, well, I don't really, let's pretend they don't want a condo. We want to detach. My parents said, I should get a detached. What are some areas of Woodstock that would be appealing in that price range?
I think Woodstock has so many great pockets, especially for first-time home buyers. When you get around Sydenham or those little areas, Earl's Court now, there's a great little bungalow.
530 grand.
Yeah, and then even, I don't know the names of the particular pockets. I know there's the Poets. My dad taught me the Poets section, which is Keats and
Keats, Alice, Tennyson.
Yep. And then you're going to get onto the other side of Mill Street. So there's 5th and 6th Ave.
Yeah. I call that the old golf course.
Yeah, we have so many pockets in Woodstock, and right now there's so many gems that you can pick up. Again, I think that it's really a tactical thing where you get into the car, go and see the home, feel the location. They might have friends in a certain area, or they might not have friends in a certain area. So I think it's just looking for the best value for your money.
Yeah.
And resale.
Always.
We're always looking at, if you're looking at this and see something wrong with it in 5 years, if it's a location issue, that's still going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So,
and 4 years ago, we found nobody cared about the location, right? If it's corner lot or if it backed onto tracks or if it was all these little things that in past years were hang-ups. Like, I don't want to live there. It didn't matter. People bought it. But I always told buyers then, as soon as the market starts to take a turn, then those are the ones that become harder to sell.
I think that a good realtor, anybody that you choose to work with, will be looking at this from a future pace again. So in 5 years, what does this area traditionally do? What are some things that will work against us when we're reselling? You know, first time home buyers are never thinking that.
Yeah.
But the worst thing that we can do as a realtor is not disclose that. And then we have young couple come at 32, outgrown their home, and we say, it's just not going to sell, you know,
Yeah.
it's only a 2 bedroom and you're on a bad location, but we sold them the home.
And we talked it up. We talked it up. It's,
Yeah.
oh, this is great. This is the best home
So
ever. Yeah. So, getting back to that, we've always kind of aligned our thoughts with buyers. And you said it the other day in a meeting, a good agent should
talk to client.
talk out of more house. So you say it in your words, because they're
I
they're
think
sharp.
that a good realtor will talk clients out of a transaction more times than they will talk them into.
Yeah. Like, you can't be afraid to go into a house as an agent and go, no.
That's what we're paid for as the professionals, you know, like this isn't going to work, or just making sure that they understand, like, hey, this doesn't have a door to go out and barbecue. What's this going to be like for you walking around the side every day? Is this going to bother you? Just make sure that you're pointing out some of those things. So after they get into their home, they're like, oh.
Yeah. I remember I had it was a bunch of years ago now, and if they're ever watching this, they probably remember. Showed them a whole bunch of houses, really nice brick bungalows all over the place, kind of north Woodstock. And then we got to a house on a certain street that wasn't great. And I drove up across the road and parked, and I didn't get out of my car. And they got out of their car and they said, "Are we going to go in?" And they had loved all the other houses, and I knew they weren't going to love this one. And I said, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, why I know you're not going to like it. We went and we dropped our card off and we showed it, but it reminded me of just being like, yeah, no.
I do think on that note too, that it is very important as a first time home buyer that the buyers see a lot of property.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Stuff that they're not going to like, that they will like. I think that you're doing the client, or you're doing yourself a disservice if you walk in and you're like, I love this one. We want our buyers to understand market value. They want to be able to walk in and understand, like, wow, this is a great deal. I want to offer on this today.
Yeah. So we're out. Okay, we've talked.
Yep.
We're out in the field. We've emailed back and forth, maybe some properties, 4, 5, 6 properties. It's a Saturday. They're first time home buyers. We're going in various houses. Let's say there's 2 stories, there's bungalows, there's side splits, whatever. Mm-hmm. We're in the price range. We're maybe at the max of their affordability.
Yep.
What are some things that a first time home buyer should particularly be concerned about in a house? What are you, as a professional, maybe pointing out to them that maybe they don't see, they're not picking up on, or they should be aware of in any particular house?
Well, we talked a little bit about layout, just functionality. You want to look at foundation cracking. You want to look at what type of wiring's in the home. You want to look at plumbing, what the panel looks like, the HVAC system. I call it the brains of the home.
Yep.
You know, you want to look at the roof, and kind of a good realtor will know cost of that stuff. You want to look at the grading. Grading's a big thing that we browse over. You don't want a home that's graded in this way. Want to look at things like mutual driveways. What's the parking situation? The school zones. What's that going to be like in the morning, afternoon? You know, there's so many components. Windows. I've replaced windows in my home, and I know I know what a production that is. So I get pretty weird about windows and roofs myself. So all of those things, appliances, and just understand, like, you know, in 3 years, this might be a cost that you're going to look at. You want to look at the quality of stuff, because sometimes there's flips done, but it's not really great quality.
Cowboys.
And what that's going to look like to turn over.
So if all these things are starting to add up, like if you're in a house with a new time buyer and the furnace is super old, the air is super old, the roof's on its last years. The windows are old. What are you telling them? If they're loving the house, we're at the top of the price range, but there's 5 or 6 major mechanical things that are kind of due. What are you saying?
Well, we would have to relook at the price. You know, there's different lending products to
Price plus improvement.
price
Blah,
plus
blah, blah.
improvements, you will. And, you know, they need to understand the reality of that. And hopefully by this time, we've built enough rapport. And I know whether or not you're capable of doing the work,
Yeah.
you want to do the work. If you don't understand the capacity of it, to be able to explain to like a young couple who is going to have kids or maybe has a baby, what that looks like living through said work.
Yeah.
We should have mentioned too, looking for things like the HVAC and AC, whether or not those are rentals or
Yeah.
owned. That's a huge thing, water heaters. So it's really playing the devil's advocate there and painting the real picture of what that looks like. You know, and if they still love the property, we would have to negotiate. That's our job. But that's when our home inspector comes in and lays the true tale.
Okay, so next,
Yeah.
we've maybe spent a couple weekends doing this.
Yep.
We've seen 10 places. They're ready.
Yep.
They want to offer. Go.
Okay, so our first step with the offer, we're educated on the market. We've looked at all the comparables for the property. We know what's happening in the market. We've talked about it. So we would look at the history of that property. When did it sell last? What's the increase? We would know whether or not it's a great price for the home. So that depends when we're going in with offers, if it's priced well or if it's not. And we would go and start negotiating for the buyer. In today's market, we're in a great spot, again, because we are able to actually negotiate. So I never suggest super low offers. We have to be very realistic. We want the deal to be win-win for both parties, and everybody needs to feel like they met somewhere. So we have to get very realistic with the realtor and the client. And then we talk about some of the things. We need to look at the deposit. What cash do you have available? So your deposit goes towards the purchase price of the property.
Yep. And
that's dispersed to the seller at closing. So 500,000, you give a $10,000 deposit, closing date, you owe 490. We look at closing date. So my opinion is we negotiate 3 things in an offer: what's included, when we're moving, and the money.
Is the closing date worth money sometimes?
Absolutely.
Because as a new time buyer, you don't have anything to sell. And you
Yep.
probably usually are generally more flexible than somebody that's selling something. So that could be worth.
That's a great, you know, and the realtor, if the buyer wants to offer, our behind the scenes thing is we call the selling realtor and find out, you know, where your client's looking for money, what are some non-negotiables for them, when do they want to move. So that's when the real communication should begin.
Yeah.
Between, if you're the listing agent, and happening there. And we start through the offer process. So we want to know deposit. Is there anybody else going to be on title? Co-signers. We want to look at the chattels, which is basically things included.
Yep.
You know, and there's going to be a list of that on the listing. My rule of thumb.
Yep.
Is we take a house, turn it upside down, shake it. What falls to the ground is the seller's, what sticks is mine.
Yes, to be black and white, obviously, in offers. Like don't ever assume, and I always tell my buyers, don't ever assume that you're going to get any particular chattel that's not in the listing. You'll get a lot of people that want a dining room table and they get mad because, you know, the seller scratches it out, and it could be a family thing. It could be like, it's not yours, right? Like, it's not yours.
I try to be very clear. We're dealing with bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into marketplace stuff.
Yeah.
And then we want to look at the conditions that are there to protect our buyers. So we have the condition of finance. We would have been talking to their lender by this time and have clear direction on that.
Yep.
a home inspection, which is there as a tutorial of the home. It's not there for renegotiating. It's just so that we have a layout and understanding of the home. Insurance on the property. We have to make sure it's insured or you can't get your mortgage. So it's a little fine detail, and a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Final walkthrough, maybe 2 walkthroughs, just depending if you want to measure for things. And your final walkthrough, I believe, should be done immediately before you go see the lawyer.
Yeah.
Set your final walkthrough, next appointment, directly go see
Yeah.
the lawyer.
So home inspection cost approx
I think right now they're around 400.
400.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good peace of mind.
Good peace of mind. They can see things, like we can see a lot of the things, but moisture meters, understanding some
Yeah.
different things, and to have somebody explain to you, what does it mean if you have a fuse panel?
Yeah.
What does it mean if I only have to replace shingles and not the full roof?
Yeah.
So just a deeper understanding of the structure of the home.
Okay, so we've written up the offer.
Yep.
We've submitted it.
Yes.
The beauty with today's market really for buyers is if those people are approved at 500, you can actually stretch some of your viewings out to maybe 520, 30, 40-ish.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to get, right? Like, again, 4 years ago,
Oh, geez.
if your budget was 600, you had to look at places worth 500, which sounds crazy. But
Yeah.
now we're seeing more and more houses that are 10, 20, 30, 40,000 less than asking, with not, they haven't been on the market for 3 months. They've only been on the market for a week or two.
Yeah.
So buyers definitely have the negotiating power right now.
It's such a fun time to be a buyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
First time buyer? Oh,
Yeah.
gold.
This is a great time to be a buyer.
So we won't get into the details of like the mechanics of the offer, but we've negotiated, we've gone back and forth. It's accepted. So you've called your people, you're so hot and you're all bubbly and you're excited and jumping around with them. And you said, we've got an accepted offer. What do they have to do next?
Immediately, we need the deposit to go to the listing brokerage. So they have to be prepared with that money immediately. Our next step from there would be to book the home inspection. So we want to book the home inspection. I would want my home inspection to be directly after I have the firm approval on my financing. But my financing should be, I would send off the offer documents, the MLS listing to the lender. The lender has the paperwork. I know the lender, we're in communication. They're going to say 2 to 3 days. It's Monday. I know by Thursday, I'm going to have that approval. Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I'm going to book my home inspection and watch your uncle.
Explain to our vast viewers the little intricacy of that timing of the inspection and the firm approval for financing and why it happens in a certain order.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. It's a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can have your pre-qualification or your approval from the lender, but when they go through, there's going to be some nuances with lending, like CMHC, which is an insurance we'll talk about in a different video. But we want to make sure that we 100% have financing on the property before we go into spending money.
Right.
Right.
So,
we want to know that the house is appraised. We want to know that the house meets lending criteria. And we don't want to spend any money until we know that we can fulfill this.
We're excited. They want the inspection. They do it in the first 2 days and they spend $400 or $500 on that inspection. And that's maybe on a Tuesday. And then on Thursday, the bank says, sorry, we're not going to approve you.
So it's so disappointing. So that does need to be finessed. And, it's good etiquette for us as agents, as a buyer's agent. We've been in the field together. You would know by the time I'm booking my inspection that we're getting close, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've got everything in a row and there's just a nuance in timing.
And there's a little bit of skin in the game, right? Once you've paid for an inspection, you're kind of, you're invested in it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have inspection videos. We're not going to get into the details of the inspection video, but it's accepted. Jack or Jill went to the bank the next day, they got their deposit. We've, as agents, we've probably sent their lender all the paperwork
Yes.
for getting the approval. We get that inspection maybe later in the week. The firm approval came, inspection came back, it was fine. Always, we got to let people know, like, the older the house or whatever age of house, no house is ever going to be perfect.
Yep.
So I know there's, not to offend anybody, but parents can get involved in inspections and that can kind of go sideways sometimes. But, if there's like an ungrounded plug or if there's like these little things, bathroom vents, like they're all kind of minor.
Yep.
And we move on and we just say, yeah, you know what? Some of this needs to be addressed. Some of it doesn't. Like some of it's just like you said, like it's just a tutorial on the house. Like, this is what's going on. Is there anything wrong with it? No. Is it today's code? No, but the house was built in 1968. So why would it be?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So we send then these things called fulfillments of conditions. These are the really happy papers. Explain those from a new buyer perspective.
So once we've gone through and we've satisfied all the conditions, don't forget and call your insurance company. We fulfill the conditions. So once we fulfill the conditions, we have our financing in place, we've approved of the home inspection, we feel good, we're ready to move forward and fulfilling the conditions. That's when you get your sold sign.
So we get the sold sign.
Yep.
Let's say the closing date's maybe 45 days from
Yep.
that time it firmed up. What is that buyer doing in that 45 days?
Wondering, what do I do next?
Not buying a car.
Not making any big financial purchases. So once we have the notice of fulfillment, we need your lawyer information. We're sending the paperwork over to the lawyer.
Yep.
That's what you pay the lawyers the big bucks for. They're searching title. And you're making sure that you've got utilities set up, your insurance set up. You're going to go to Canada Post, make sure that hopefully they're not on strike, get your address changed, your driver's license changed. And we send you over a full checklist of where to get that. Make sure if you're renting, you give an appropriate notice. I would book movers, never book movers unless you're the first appointment in the morning. Anything else will be a mess.
Yeah.
And it's that part feels like the waiting game because it's so excited and you're in so much motion, and then you get the notice of fulfillment and you're like, now what?
Yeah.
But that's really the time that the lawyers work. And like you said, don't go buy our car.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
So not taking numbers out of it, but that closing day comes, they're going to get a call from the lawyer.
Yep.
Come in and sign all the paperwork, usually a couple days before close.
Yep.
What kind of money are those people bringing into that lawyer?
Well, just depending on what their mortgage is for. So they would bring the balance of, if you were 5%, 5% on 500,000 is 50,000. We've given 10,000 with their deposit. So you would need 40,000 to make up that further deposit. And then there's first-time home buyers. We're not doing land transfer on a $500,000 home. I always tell buyers at any price range, always budget 1.5% of the purchase price. And that should cover all your legals, transfers, and some beer and pizza.
Yeah.
It's generally less than that, but as just a rule of thumb, you want to have an extra 1.5.
Over budget.
Yeah.
Make it safe.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there anything else we missed basically over that full start to finish for a first time buyer? So we basically today discussed somebody that didn't have anything to sell.
Yep.
And we can do the same thing for somebody with something to sell, or we can save that to another video.
I think we'll save that for another video.
So too, yeah.
I am very excited for anybody that's getting into the market right now.
Yeah, it's negotiable. The buyers have power. It was hard there during COVID because you'd get these first-time buyers that They couldn't do inspections. If you had any condition, you weren't going to get the house.
And
it
now
was
they're
just like-
getting better homes because
Yeah.
sellers who are putting their homes on the market have to make sure that it looks good,
Yeah.
the paint's done, the landscaping's done, because they're competing in a market that is actually hard to get an offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, to round it all up, if the twinkle is in your eye, either call us or a lender first, either
Yeah.
or. If you call us first, we'll send you to a lender.
Yeah.
And then everything that we just talked about today, we'd walk you through.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you again.
See ya.